Hey everyone, it's Carol here. I'm just popping in with a really quick video on how to get your wood mounted stamps changed into a cling stamp. And so I have two examples here. This stamp, I was able to just pull the rubber away from this foam. It was easy to peel off, but they're not always like that. Sometimes the foam comes away when you peel it off. I'm sorry, comes with still attached to the stamp when you pull it away, as in this example. So what happened was I had it attached to the back, and sorry I didn't film that part, and I ended up just taking my time and peeling as much of the foam away as I could, and then I used my trusty Glue Gun crayon away, but regular Glue Gun works well too. Put it on the back, let it soak in, and then I kept scraping it with an old membership card to get all of the gunk off. It left a really thin layer of goop of glue. I did another application of Glue Gun. Still, there was more left. So at this point, I then came in with my, I don't remember the name of this particular tool, but I really like this. You should have this in your stash. This gets adhesive off when you have glue on your projects, and it's like an eraser. And so all I did, now this just takes time. You really do have to have some patience. It does come up pretty easy, but if you have a really large stamp, it's a lot of work. And all you do is just take your time rubbing it to get the adhesive off. And as you can see, I'm almost done with it. Let me see if I can see. As I'm rubbing, it just kind of beads up. And sometimes you could do it in a circular motion, just whichever way it works for it to come up. And then I would recommend, once it's all completely off, wash it with some soap and water. And so I'm going to finish this off camera, and then I'll come back and show you what I do next. Alright, so now I have gotten all of my goopy goo off of the back of this, so it's all smooth. It's not tacky or anything. And for this one, usually, because you can't see through these stamps, I like to mark on the back so I know exactly where the image is on the stamp, so that I can place it properly on my paper on the project that I'm stamping. But for this particular stamp, the rubber is cut pretty close to the image of the stamp itself, so I'm not going to make any markings for it at all. But for this particular word stamp, it would be hard for me to know exactly where on this stamp the words are starting. Sometimes the stamps have a lot of excess rubber on the ends. So for me, because I'm visually impaired anyway, this may be overkill for some of you all, so you may not do this particular step. But what I'm going to do is place some masking tape right by this letter G. And I just want to get it as straight as I can. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of this letter Y. Turn my stamp over. And then I'm going to mark on the back with a permanent marker just where this line is. I'm just going to kind of make a line like that from down, and from this edge make a line down. It doesn't have to be exactly straight. I just need to know where the starting points are. So that way I know when I'm placing it on my project that the words are between these two lines. Now for this bottom line, because the stamp is cut close to the beginning and the ending word, I'm not going to make a mark. But if I had some excess rubber on the ends, I would definitely do the same thing. So to get it in, to make it into a cling stamp, I'm going to use my Aleene's Tack It Over and Over. This stuff is great. In a little goes a long way. I have a dedicated brush that I use for glue applications, and just in case I forget to wash, this brush out, I can throw it away. So I'm going to start out on this big one with about that much glue. And that might be too much, but I'll see. I try to stay away from the very edge, because in the past what I've done is gone over the edge a little bit, and it makes because it's tacky, it makes the edges of my stamp really sticky, and sometimes it causes problems when I'm picking it up. And I just need enough glue on here that it's going to stick to my to either my acrylic block or my stamping tool. So I'm just going around, and see how there's like what would you call it, a heavier amount of glue and outline as I went around the edge there. I'm going to come back and smooth that out, because that will be more tackier than the thinner application in the center. So let me just brush it out. I just want it smoother. I don't want any heels of glue in here. I'm going to just use this extra glue and go over my stamp like that on this one. And again, I'm not outlining all the way, or trying not to all the way to the very edge on that. It's just, I feel it's not necessary, but I actually have gone to the edge on that. So anyway, let me wipe off some extra here. I'm telling you, all you really need is a really thin layer of this glue. I mean, really thin. Let's see if I can get some more off of that. And once it dries clear, then it's tacky enough. And you want to, you could dry it overnight, which would be better. But at least come back and, again, once it's clear, it's okay. But I usually give it about an hour. So I'm going to come back and then I'll show you the next step. All right, I'm just going to speed up the process from this point. The adhesive has cured for about 2 hours, and as you can see, it's pretty tacky enough for my stamping tool or your acrylic block. And you just want to go ahead and line your project up like you normally would do. I would also mention that what I really should have done at this before I put the adhesive on the back was to go ahead and mark the top and bottom and the center of this particular stamp. Because as you'll see, when I do stamp it, I have it on the project crooked, and the markings really would have helped me with the placing. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're working with these stamps. And you can just keep repeatedly stamping it over and over when you have it in the stamping tool. So it's such a helpful product to have in your studio. Okay, so as you can see, that came out a little crooked. That's okay. But to store it, you can store it on some extra plastic that you have laying around, or some acetate or something like that. I would not put it on regular paper to store. All right, for my next stamp, the word stamp where I did make the markings, this is going to be easy for me to see where I'm placing it at on my project, so I can get those words right where I want them to. And I'm really going to do the same process. I'm going to ink it up and place it down. I do want to mention at this point, you may not be able to see it on the camera, but because I yanked that door open and my ink was kind of tacky, my paper moved a little bit. So you just want to be mindful of something like that. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to show you all. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. See you all later.